Oh no, it's dead. Whatever. What do we do? Hold on. Listen, we have priority business to go on right now. I know it's the Whitty Reviews show Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. on the Chateau de Mars Hill Network. You're just gonna have to wait a second. You're gonna have to wait for this cute and sweet little guy to start talking about all this crazy stuff. Actually, I don't have the proper tab open. Don't worry, we're gonna get to that here in a second. You know what I noticed? So for those who don't know, producer John, he will set the video up for Greeting Special Power for the Tuesday show. And then I have my Saturday show where I go like 80%. I only go 3/4 chubbed on the Saturday show. I only go just under half chubbed on the Tuesday night show. And for some reason, it will not show up. So like if I'm trying to promote the Tuesday show, I can't find it. Like if I'm just a regular person on the YouTube. So I have to wait until the show starts and then link it to my Twitter. And then it's kind of annoying. And so that's what I'm doing right now. Don't worry. There's plenty of time to talk about stuff because things are getting very fun right now. Drew, what's up? Let's go. Hey, don't worry. I'm going to talk about one of Drew's posts here in a second because it's so damn funny. So anyway, we're back. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. Let's go, David Waters. John Schmitz, producer John in the chat too. Perfect timing for everything to start happening. Listen, I understand last week was terrible for multiple reasons. And I talked about this on Saturday's show. And a lot more things have come out, especially today. And I just wanted to briefly touch on this. I know everybody's talking about it right now and they're giving all their opinions. And I gave mine on Saturday night, and then I went downtown. Actually, downtown. Hold on. Before I start about that, let me talk about downtown real quick, all right? This is going to be a smorgasbord of the Whitty Reviews show. So I was downtown. I went down at like midnight, I think is what it was. You guys were watching. If you guys were tracking on the Indie Reporter Twitter, I logged on. And I got to tell you what, I am so tired of what these women and what these guys are dressing up as. The women they're all the same. And I don't understand what's happening in 2025, but they're all fat. And I don't understand how you have like 22 or 23-year-olds that are fat. And they're all of them. They're like barely any skinny broads, and it's annoying. We have a heifer epidemic right now for the 20-year-old women. And the worst part is like they're all wearing the same. It's a black top with jeans. And it's like 90s jeans where like they have the fupa or everything. I saw a Christina Aguilera. You guys remember the low-rise jeans back in like the early 2000s where you had like you had like a butterface, but like the body was like a 9. Those were like we really peaked in like the early 2000s. And then the dudes look like they haven't taken a shower in like 3 days. They all have a dick broom. They're all wearing like short shorts. I wouldn't even call them short shorts, but too much thigh. They all have mullets. They look like greasy people. I don't like it. Listen, I go to enough homeless encampments where I can't tell the difference anymore if they're like they don't have a job or if they live inside of a cardboard box. Listen, people, clean it up, okay? Like wear a polo. I don't care if you wear a hat, but it's fine. Do you guys know what a dick broom is? I already talked about it. It's a mustache. It's a dirty, ugly mustache. Yeah, the 80s were okay. But here's the thing. Like when you wear the short shorts, like you're kind of fit. I mean, I saw a picture of like baseball players from like the 70s and 80s, and they're just lighting up darts, having coffee before the game, taking speed, having a little bit of whiskey, what? And they looked like men. I'm talking about like the Tom Selleck days. I'm talking about what's that dude? The guy with the old dude with the mustache who was in was it Roundhouse with Patrick Swayze. It's not hot. They were they are. I guess they were kind of hot pants. It looks like we're in Dazed and Confused whenever I go downtown, but they're all fat women. I can't stand it. Like the dudes look like they're all sick too. Like at least when like Dazed and Confused, not in the 90s, but like the actual 70s and 80s, they were fit. They knew how to change a tire. Kiff in the Kiff in the chat, strongest soldier. I mean, Johnny Suitcase knows what I'm talking about. He met Reagan, overrated president, but he met Reagan. All right, so anyway, enough of the chat. I've been thinking about that for the last couple of days. Like, I got to talk about this. It's so annoying. I can't stand it. I know I'm getting old, Brad. I hate it. I am nostalgic for a time when we didn't have short shorts and fat women. Bring back the skinny broads. Bring back the men. If you want to have a mullet and a mustache, you have to look like an actual dude. They all look feminine. They all having like their cherry flavored vapes while they're having their garbage PBR. No, I want like Mad Men, Don Draper. I want them having a Lucky Strike, a non-filtered Lucky Strike with a Manhattan or an old fashioned. Either will do. So anyway, all right. So I'm turning off the chats for a second because I'm going off. All right. So we all know what happened last week. And I talked about this on Saturday night on the things that would really piss me off, the things like that, why I felt a certain way. And like when I go like downtown or where I go to these protests, or like I'll be going to the Charlie Kirk vigil on Thursday night only for a little bit, and then the one over on Sunday too. Like those are the kind of situations I'm putting myself in just to do investigative reporting, really. And so when you have like some regular dude just wanted to have a conversation that gets assassinated, it really made me, it was that was terrible, but then it was the aftermath of what happened. When you have tens of thousands of people, like their first instinct is to go on social media and cheer about it. This is like demon stuff. This is pure evil. And I know everybody I saw from the left is like, hey, what about the school shooting? What about happened in Minnesota with the church shootings? Like, yeah, that was terrible. Did you see anybody on social media from the left, the right, or the center cheering it on? No, nobody like actually went onto TikTok and was doing dances about it. And all these people that are getting fired and their consequences about it, I am cheering for it. Because I remember 2020. I remember when they wanted us in concentration camps if we didn't have if we didn't take the experimental vaccine. They wanted vaccine registries. I remember a certain greasy swine talking about, hey, you know what? If the job wants you to take a vaccine, and if you don't, you'll get fired. Sucks for you. I remember that. That's why Micah became so popular, which we're going to talk about Micah here in a second. But this is, and especially with that Ukrainian lady, what was her name? I am really bad at Russian names. Irina Zarutsky, that poor girl that got stabbed in the neck by that 70 IQ homeless savage who had been in jail multiple times. And then I think of that guy from the Monon Trail that tried raping those two women, who eventually the DNA came back that I think he allegedly raped some 13-year-old or 16-year-old in Lawrence. Like, we shouldn't have to be dealing with these people. They should be up against the wall. That kind of evil stuff. And that's where a lot of the stuff is going on. And Sam Hyde put it perfectly. These people must be defeated and destroyed. They've shown their true faces. We've seen joyful bloodlust. It is the just thing to ensure that they are unemployable. If you dance in the grave of a peaceful Christian man and mock his widow, which many did, you cannot be allowed to teach children, administer medicine, prepare food, handle important information and communication, essentially be trusted with any role above Amazon warehouse worker. Enjoy the Indians, go be with the Haitians and the Creoles, go be an Uber driver. And we remember seeing all the nurses, all the people that were laughing that, oh, that person died and they weren't vaccinated. Womp, womp, womp. We remember all those people. We remember the teachers that were laughing at conservatives, or the people that were just on the lawn of the Capitol that were getting thrown in jail. Remember the grandmas that were in the velvet ropes, by the way, just walking around, and they were thrown in jail. And now the time has come. That's why I have very little sympathy for all these people that would And these are all the same people that if me or John or any of the conservatives, which I'm not calling myself a conservative, but even right-leaning people, if they were assassinated, they would be dancing on our graves. As soon as the dirt hit the coffin, they would be out there taking a dookie, going pee on the grave of someone that was just walking around and because they were right-leaning or giving their opinion. In other words, fuck you. Moving on, though, and this is where we are at right now. This is you, and this is their reaction when you are killed. These are I wouldn't say the Brad Sawinskis, but definitely their side of the aisle. Because we all love Brad, you know. He has a poor taste in alcohol, but we can go around that. And by the way, I can't see any of the comments right now. Yeah, you know what though? I didn't even see what he said. We want them fired. It's literally that. I don't want to have to worry about if I'm going through surgery and someone looks up my Twitter or my social media and they see what I've talked about and they say, oopsie, that person's going to die now. No, thank you. I don't want to have it where if my kids are in a school and then they find my social media and they see that I call women fat and then they start fucking with my kid. No, thank you. That's what that means, Brad. Stop being a fucking pussy, all right? Go change your tampon, bitch. Or actually, you know what? Ban them. We don't need pussies in the chat. Ban them. That's what that means. Where's he at? Ban him out of the chat. Oh, you're in the YouTube chat? Hold on, bro. So, hold on 1 second. I'm in charge of this bitch. Give me 1 second. Where's he at? Hold on. Remove. See you later. No bitches in the chat. That's what that means. Enjoy, Brad. Yeah, go cry about it on Mouthwash. I don't give a shit. And this is what I mean. This is what I mean when I say these people are evil. They have indoctrinated these two children. If you guys haven't seen this, I'm going to put this in the private chat because where is it at? John, Suitcase John, can you put that in the main chat since I would have to join the chat? Brad is on timeout right now. When he decides to be a man, he's allowed back in the YouTube chat. We're not taking any of these pussies anymore. We're done with it. So this lady, the mom, was like, "Hey, I have the greatest news for you." And then these two kids were like, "Oh, Donald Trump is dead." And then like, that's what they got excited about. Third breath died. And they said, actually, my best friend is getting married. Jonathan Kick. Let's go. So these are the people that we're having that we are battling against right now. All right, so Drew decided to retweet Indie Reporter. Maddox, hey, you know who's based? You know who's really crazy based? Ducky. Ducky is totally based. Whenever I see Ducky in the chat, and oh, by the way, one of the reasons why I have not been in the Kendall and Casey chat is because I have been doing some deep digging on stuff, and so I'll chime in the chat every now and then. I'll sometimes play it while I'm looking up stuff. But like, I think you saw it on Indie Reporter. Ducky was like, hey, you know, there is so much content and so much crazy stuff that didn't, and everybody's like, no, load it up, load my feed. And I was like, all right, let's just open up the gates. So that's what we did. And that's why you don't really see, yeah. Yeah, and Ducky, true. I do have a life outside of the YouTube chat. So true. Yeah, we still love Brad, but you know what? Brad needs a timeout. All right, so this is really funny. Drew, he retweeted or reposted, shared everyone on Indie Reporter. And then Jesse Clown Brown goes, how do you feel about sharing this meme now that it's clear the killer was on the far right? Really? Because now we have the reports saying that actually the killer had a trans boyfriend, and it looks like it's coming out might have had two trans boyfriends. And when I know I talked about this on Saturday, but some of the engravings on the casing, when they talking about like the bulge, like people that have been on the internet for a long time, like me, and then having to go through some of these dark web sites and understanding what the lingo is, exactly what they're talking about. I knew exactly what they were talking about. But it is funny because I pointed this out on Saturday, but since we have a different audience right now, so Jesse Brown was telling everybody, yeah, we could definitely talk about it. I'm giving it a week. I'm giving it a week right now before I start going in the tinfoil hat theory. I think for me personally, it's just let's just give it a week. I've already, and believe me, I have seen like, oh, it was Mossad, oh, it was CIA, and it was all that stuff. And believe me, 4chan is littered with all that stuff. Do not go on 4chan. Do not go on Paul on 4chan right now. It's very crazy. So anyway, but Jesse Brown had apologized to me because he was told that I was posting pictures of Victoria Wilburn's children, their medical records, pictures of them, or they go to school. And he believed it. Just like he believes that Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist and a racist and a bigot and all these things. And I'm here to tell you, whatever Jesse Brown says, do not believe him because he falls for everything. If he fell for somebody telling him that I was posting pictures of somebody's children, which he ended up apologizing to me about because he knew that it was ended up obviously it was false, but he didn't believe it. You guys remember the video where I confronted him after a city council meeting and I said, hey, you're saying all this crap. Show me the evidence. And he said, I believe it. Therefore, it's true. Paraphrasing. So do not believe anything that these people say, especially when they talk about, hey, you know what? He was a registered Republican. Yeah, I do. Oh, actually, yeah. So a little backtrack, by the way. So Johnny Bicycle, he got called by the Capitol Police as well because of collateral damage. Everybody thought John was my account that I shared with other people, and it wasn't. Well, that at that time that was my personal account, I think. And he got called by the Capitol Police. I got called by the Capitol Police, all because Victoria Wilburn made a complaint to the Capitol Police saying that I was posting pictures of her kids and blah, blah, blah. When it was not even that, I was pointing out that her kids go to a private school while she was promoting public schools. That was all it was. And then her husband was like, hey, you know what? Yeah, she apologized to you, but didn't apologize to me. Jesse Brown apologized to me. But whatever. His apologies don't mean shit. So anyway, there we go. Okay, so when they talk about this, and by the way, this is for everybody. Whenever there's a mass shooter or whenever there's some crazy thing that's happening, this is what we have to pay attention to. Was when they say, oh, he was a registered Republican, and even at this point, I'm even on like the Democrat side or on whatever side you want to say, when somebody would say, well, he was a registered Democrat. And here's why I say that you can't even use this argument anymore. You're going to have to make a new one. Is because you remember last year when Democrats, even though they can say that they were bipartisan, trying to recenter everything, even though like Indiana Republicans are basically liberals, Vic was you missed a few things. You didn't really miss much. As long as you're on the Saturday show, we're just kind of doing a few things. But when you had Recenter put out a bunch of billboards and telling all the Democrats to vote in the Republican primary. Why? Because they wanted Nikki Haley to be the Republican frontrunner. They wanted someone like Suzanne Crouch or Brad Chambers to become the primary winner so they can run against Jessica McCormick. Jessica, right? Or is it Jennifer? Which one? Which one is Fiona? Which one is my city councilor? I think it's Jessica. It doesn't matter. They're both awful. They're both awful women. And that's what happened. You had this. By the way, we're going to talk about Recenter here in a second too. Okay, so it was Jessica McCormick. Thank you. Vic in the chat. Let's go. Vic and Ducky. We are so back. Same thing with Drew with Wart. Oh yeah, Wart. You know, somebody got mad about the Wart thing. Somebody messaged me, and because people take things so literally, and I was making it. Everybody knows what Wart is, Weaponized Autism Research Team, and so somebody had messaged me through Indie Reporter, and they were like, "What does Wart stand for?" And I told them. And you know, we sometimes you don't know how someone's going to take it, and they're like, "Well, you know what? I know somebody with autism, and they're a great person." And da 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 da. And I was like, "Okay, well, you know what? Awesome. You obviously missed the joke. We're not joking about autism, people with autism. We're talking about weaponized autism. We're talking about locking in, focusing, going after the pedophiles, going after the demons." You know, hours and hours of locked in research. It's a positive thing. Yes. Positive attribute is what we're talking about. We're not talking about we're not saying that anything negative. Yeah. So anyway, you can go to their website, recenter.org. Now, what's funny about this is that speaking of Brad, there he is right there. Librarian Brad over here. By the way, so Victoria Wilburn ended up becoming the executive director of Recenter. Now, not Victoria Wilburn, Jocelyn Vare, sorry. Jocelyn Vare ended up becoming the executive director of Recenter. Now, for those who don't remember Jocelyn Vare, she used to be part of the Fisher City Council. She has been on Mouthwash a few times, and I know that none of you can hear the audio on this, but this is what basically how Micah Beckwith won the lieutenant governor primary. Yeah, it's so true, Duck. Yeah. And we're seeing this right now with Susie Jaws. I don't even know if I have time, we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Natalie Goodwin being part of Indiana Chamber of Commerce too. Lame. So anyway, prime Micah Beckwith, when Micah Beckwith was way more based. This is from August 8th of 2023. Now, this is when Micah Beckwith was part of the, Johnny, can you remind me, is it when he was on the Fisher's library board, or was it Carmel library board? I can't remember. Noblesville? Yeah, I know that, but can't you, I don't know. It's one of them. It's one of the library boards over there in Hamilton County. So they were talking about one of the books that was in the teenager section, and I actually had to blur it out. It was talking about and Brad over here booted Brad. Brad got booted because we need more men. Only based men and based women are allowed in the chat. Brad is on a timeout. They were talking about porn and what it means. And I actually remember other people in the chat. And so in this picture that it was showing two male people basically sucking each other off. And apparently this book was in the library section, and Jocelyn Vare over here with the crazy eyes and the Karen cut, and booted Brad Sawinski was talking about porn in the library. And Lucy, when she was way more based, Lucy has lost her baseness. You know what? Rip Lucy based. She was on the side of Beckwith when she was based. Now Lucy is no longer based. And about how the book was taken away. And so Jocelyn Vare over here gets mad about, hey, Micah, you need to not show that video or show that book anymore. And Micah was like, oh, okay, so it's okay for have this book in the library, but it's not okay to show it for the viewers. Okay. It was one of those like prime mic drop moments from Beckwith that really was like, all right, I'm on Team Beckwith right now. And when he was running for lieutenant governor, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to help get this guy win. And by the way, in my if my own like private sector of things, there were a handful of people that were thinking about voting for Julie McGuire that I was able to turn to vote for Micah Beckwith. And obviously, Micah Beckwith has turned into the person that he promised to fight against. Not to say that, and by the way, Beckwith still has to do a town hall in Marion County. And for everybody out there that said that, like, I am not on the Beckwith train anymore. I'm pretty disgusted with the things that he talked about with the 40,000 Haitians and everything. But I told him at that time was next year in the Marion County. Next year? Okay, cool. Spiro in the chat, let's go. Yeah, if he's I told, and by the way, this still holds true today. I told Beckwith that I would help with security, and I still would do that because Beckwith still has a role to play in all of this. Whatever that role is, I'm not sure, but I do care about Micah. I don't want him getting hurt. I don't want I don't know. Should I pull up that Cassie Jackson thing? Hold on. Where she had a picture of Beckwith with a tampon on his neck. It was like the day of Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. Hold on. Facebook is so slow. I cannot stand Facebook anymore. I don't know what is going on with it. I'm about to throw this computer out of the freaking window though. But Cassie Jackson right here. Nothing to see here. It's all very cute. And she put a tampon on his neck. This was I'm not even sure. This was either September 12th, September 11th. There was the morning after. Facebook, yeah. Facebook. So true. Anyway, it's awful. Yeah, it is sad. And so somebody sent us a video of Cassie Jackson and her group of crazy people over at this Baptist church over by me, and just like screaming at people and dropping F-bombs. Yeah, he is based on that. Only church to hold a vigil. Wait, when did that happen? When did that happen, Kiff? Yeah, I will agree that's why I say, like, Beckwith has his role to play in calling out the crazy left people. That whole Haitian tweet basically ruined any of his political career. Because even Steve Ducey called, I don't know. And Cernovich and all these other right-wingers called him out on it. He basically got completely destroyed after that 40,000 Haitian thing. And then, it was really poor taste. Ethan Hatcher had his show on Saturday. Yeah, I know when George, don't forget about his golden coffin too, or his coffin made out of gold. And then like the mayor of Minneapolis having a tear. Then, for a repeat criminal. And then that's for a different time. But anyway, so yeah, that's when Beckwith was based. Jocelyn Vare, and then so these are the people that are running Reese Center now. We have to keep an eye on these people. Hanscom. Didn't that guy run for office? So we have to keep an eye on these people. They're going to be scumbags. The Reese Center people. They're talking about Jim Lucas, National Voter Registration Day. Dude, it takes literally 30 seconds to register to vote. Stop being lame. All right, and there's Jocelyn Bear. All right, and there's that, and there's that, and there's that. Okay, so this is what I wanted to bring up too. When I was running for office last year, and usually whoever runs for office, the party will normally help give you like a voter roll and interactive one, I guess you could say. There's like IV 360. There's the Advantage app, which I don't think they do anymore. But what you can do is that on the desktop version, you can find what people's voter history is like. Now, this was one of them. And I pointed this out when I was running for office. This was on October 22nd, 2024. Yeah. Riddle me this. How does a mailer get returned with a vacant sticker when they voted in the primary? I was running into this a lot, mostly with apartments. So if I had to do it over again, I would not have done any mailers to apartments because I had like 30 of them? Something like that. I had 30 of them mailed back to me. And by the way, postage is not cheap. That's why I spent like a couple of grand just in postage because the HRCC was a bunch of douchebags that didn't even want to give me an email back. probably didn't help that I had the reply Michael Hunt. Only base people understand that joke, by the way. All right, but this is what I mean. To tie a bow in this whole thing, they voted in the Republican primary in 2012. Now, for those who don't understand this part, because you can vote Democrat, Republican, or Libertarian in the general election, you don't know where they lean. The primary data is what they're using, and obviously, you can see that in 2012 they voted in the Republican primary. Then they voted for how many years Democrat, and then they voted for a Republican in 2024. You like that? You like that, Ducky? Or Mike Oxmole? Yeah, Michael. So, all right, moving on. All right, so this is where we have to talk about leadership. Now, Sid Mahant is running for state representative against Greg Steuerwald next year. Now, I had a sit down with this is why I had a recorded version of last week's shows, because I was having a sit down with Sid over in Avon, and I talked to him. And one of the things that I wanted to know about, there was a couple of things, but the one was his petition. He had a petition to lower the requirements for the Indiana CDL. Now, there are federal requirements, which is basically like the base minimum requirement. But Indiana, you are allowed to have a higher requirement for it. It just can't be lower than the federal. That's how the rules work, people. It can't be lower than the federal level for the most part. So Sid, who owns a transportation company, a trucking company called Mahant Transportation, he wanted to lower the requirement to get in basically Indiana CDL. I say that in quotation marks, obviously. And it's the reason why is because the test is hard to take for if the people's language, English is not their first language. The test is harder to take. That's what, and he called it discriminatory. And I had this conversation about him, and he's like, well, you know what? You can get more taxes off of it because the reason why you would get an Indiana CDL, as far as I know, this is from what I understand, is that you have to live here. So like if you live in Ohio, you would have an Ohio CDL, but it works federally. Now, if you wanted to move and live in Indiana, you would have to get an Indiana CDL, but the requirement is higher compared to a federal CDL. Exactly, Ducky. Boo hoo hoo. That's what I said. Now, fast forward 12 hours. I am going, for those who don't know, 465 in Rockville. I am heading 465 south towards the airport. Now, I've showed this map before. There is a yield if you're actually, you know what? Oh, yeah, we got plenty of time. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Hold on. All right. All right, so right here is Rockville and 465 right here. There is a truck, the semi truck right here. Yeah. Okay, so I showed this on Saturday. I want to show it again. You see how there's a dump truck right there, or a garbage truck right there? You see how there's a yield sign right there? Now, what do you see right here? A green light. Now, I think there was a red light at the time, or maybe it was leading a green light, but there was a green light for here. This is where I was. And then coming to try and get onto the highway. Now, Mahant Transportation and their driver, which I didn't know it was Mahant Transportation at the time, they pulled on here I don't even think they slowed down. I was like 2 or 3 cars deep. And there was an SUV, I think they were in front of me. I didn't really see it, but I saw them pulling into here in this semi truck. It did not even look like they slowed down, and they all look like they almost took out 2 cars. So I'm like, oh my god! And obviously, we know what happened in what was Texas or Florida, and I wanted to see, is this what do we got here? We got a white or we got a non? Is it an Indian? Is it a Haitian? What do we got? So I get onto the highway. And then I drive past up to it, and what do I see? Mahant Transportation. I'm like, oh my God, I just talked to Sid 12 hours ago. Because it was like 7:15, 7:20, somewhere around there. And so, and it was an Indian. All right. Not the feathers, but the dot. Okay. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. 12 hours ago, I'm literally having this conversation with Sid about him wanting to lower the requirement to get an Indiana CDL. And what happens? One of his trucks almost takes out two people going onto the highway because they decided they weren't going to yield. Perfect timing. And at that moment, at that point, I said, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to help Greg Stewart beat Sid in the primary. However, and here's another classic example. An Indian drove into a daycare in Canada and killed a baby, and that the discussions is we need to make it harder for cars to penetrate daycare windows. This is like the gun thing. Hey, we need more gun laws, or maybe we should have more executions. Maybe we should have a deterrent. If you're going to shoot a place up, if you're going to murder somebody, you're going up against the wall, or we're going to have a public transportation. I know, right, Jen? Imagine that. They don't know what yield means. Yeah, yield, and they're like, what is it? It's up to their discretion. That's what yield means. Like, I don't think so. Boom, gas it is. Whatever gas is in Indiana, pedal to the metal in Indian. Actually, we should find out what that means. Hold on, let's get Google Translate real quick. We got plenty of time. Not Google Maps, Google Translate. Man. All right, so what does what is pedal to the metal in Indian? Hold on. Let me cook. We're doing Indian. There's Irish. What is it? Hindu then? What's Indian? Someone help me out in the chat. What would Indian be? Huh? Ugh. Not Coruscant. What are we talking about? I don't know. Somebody give me one. Punjabi. There we go. Let's go Punjabi. Hindu. Huh? Whatever. Hindu, huh? Been there, done that, like a shark. Traffic never stops anything. Oh, dude, I saw videos of like how intersections work. It is the craziest thing ever. I couldn't believe, like, these people have no sense of direction. Where is it? Hindi. Okay, there's Hindi. That's not, how do you say that? Oh, hold on. Pedal sa du tutak. It's right there. All right. Well, I'm sure I'll go canceled for that. Hey, good thing that I'm not running for office anytime soon. I'm sure we'll be just fine. So anyway, this is the thing though. How about we need to make it harder to make it for cars to penetrate daycare windows and not. We need to ban Indians from driving in any country that isn't India. And I don't know if you guys saw this over in Dearborn, Michigan. This Muslim mayor over there told some white dude that he can't wait to kick him out of the country or kick him out. He doesn't want him in the city because they wanted to rename the street to this jihadi. And then so there was white dude who was like, yeah, this guy was from like Hezbollah and they bombed his embassy that had Americans in it. And the mayor's like, you're an Islamophobe. And you need to be, you need to be out of this city. And I was like, all right, yeah, dude, so true, Schadenfreude, so true. All right, so let's talk about redistricting. We got 10 minutes left. This is where we're going to end it. We're going to get rid of that. All right, so we all know about the redistricting. I'm sure all of you are wondering, I wonder what Whitty's take on this whole thing. And the truth is, I really don't care at the time when it happened. Yeah, whole booty plug. The dude's doesn't he live in Michigan now? He has, what are we doing? So, obviously, Pete is coming to the State House. What is it, tomorrow on Thursday? I'm not going to be there. I don't know why they're doing, what are they doing there? Are they having like a meeting? Are the legislators having a meeting? Who are they protesting to? That's what I don't understand. And so anyway, what is my take on the redistricting? I didn't really care. I was like 55, and then it was like every single day was like, all right, I'm a little bit more for the redistricting. But it was my argument. By the way, I had this argument before Kendall did. Was I don't want another Jefferson Shreve, because the fact that Shreve won the primary tells me that we have incompetent, lazy, dopey voters. It's supposed to be hard red over there, yet they voted for a gun confiscator that wanted to repeal concealed carry. But somehow the voters over there were too dumb and lazy to do any kind of research. Speedy could have easily won if Jameson Carrier was not in there. And I'm still convinced that Jameson Carrier was a plant to make sure that Jefferson Shreve won. I'm just saying. So this is why I'm kind of I don't like the map. If we're going to do redistricting, could we have less lame maps? Now, Hannah Adamson got totally roasted on this map, saying like, oh, this is a legit map. No, this was a map made from Twitter and like months ago, or maybe even it was weeks ago. This is what I don't like about it. All right, here's where we're at right now. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now Shreve is over here. You have Sparts over here. You have who's over here? Who's number 5? We have no, Sparts is 5. Sparts is 5? Oh yeah, because of there. Baird. Baird is over here. Okay. I only care about these 4, 5, and 6. Those are the only 3 that well, 7's toast. No one's gonna beat Carson unless it's that chubby Mexican that's getting help with Simon money. Other than that, I mean, whoever wins that primary wins the general. There's no way to beat Carson as a Republican because blacks. That's it. Because there's such a black majority in Indianapolis that they're going to pick the black Muslim. That's basically what it is. Yeah, Georgie Hornado. Hornado reminds me of like a chimichanga, though, and he kind of looks like one. Speaking of Mexicans, though, I have this new phrase for Mexican music. I call it fart moaning. Because you're like right next door. I mean, John would know this because he works with a bunch of Mexicans. But it's like tuba noises and moaning, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and then there's like tuba noise, like brr, brr, brr. And it's basically a bunch of Mexicans farting while moaning. It's like they're like in the toilet. So anyway, oh boy, didn't you guys miss me? You guys totally missed me, didn't it? For all of my like 10 or 15 people that are watching right now. This is what you come for, this high level thinking right here. My high level commentary on Tuesday nights. Don't worry, we only have like 7 minutes left. All right, so this is why I do not like this map. It's a mess because you have 4, 5, and 6 here, but on this lame ass map you have 4, 5, and 7. Like 6 is literally on the other side. All right, here. We have 6 right here that is mostly on the center and the east of Indiana. But on this lame ass map, you literally have it on the other side. And so if you're Shreve right now, I would be like, I don't like that. Same thing with 7. 7 has now like grown like a tumor to the right, which obviously you can tell that I wouldn't even call it gerrymandering. I would just call gerrymandering Marion County. Now, Marion County is such diverse with morons that I kind of understand splitting it 3 ways. I understand the map, but I think everybody has to understand is now you're opening up yourself to lose your general election. This could actually make people lose. So like Jim Baird, look where he's at right now, and then look where it goes to. Like it goes into the west side of Indiana. That's why I don't like I mean, the only thing that I like about this map is the middle finger right here. And what if the Republicans were smart, they would look at this and they would like literally put up a middle finger and say F the libs right here for D9. And that'd be like the perfect idea. But Republicans aren't that smart. So what can we play smash or pass on what? Who are we smashing or passing? There's like nobody that I would smash. They're all fat. So I got in trouble with that, Vic, by the way. When John was running for county chair, Natalie Goodwin was running for county chair, and I made a joke about smash or pass. And then someone wrote a column about it. It's like, oh, then this Steve Whittier, can't even spell my name right. And I figured out why he did that, by the way. Making like sexual derogatory remarks. And there's like, no, actually, I was saying that I would not have anything to do with that. And I said it was because she was a mom. And I wouldn't be trying to bang mommies. No, thank you. Especially used up mommies. And she has like young children. So I definitely wouldn't do that. It's gross. It's gross. Sorry, guys. I only deal with grandmommies. Grandmommies are totally based because if you can get in the will, that's a shoe-in. I'm not going after mommies. I'm only going after grandmommies. And that's the truth. You get part of that. I mean, just a little bit. All right. I'm like the reverse Anna Nicole Smith. You just gotta write it out long enough where you're part of the will. And I think you can just go to Belize. You can, do whatever you want. Smashing grandmommies, that's red pilling. That's red pilling based, especially if you get part of the will. I cannot wait for all this to be clipped in the future. Like you see Whitty, he's talking about banging grandmas. But like all of you guys in the chat right now knows that this is just a bit. Well, hopefully anyway, except for Brad. We wouldn't know if Brad thinks that no, it's a bit. He got booted for being unbased. Only based people are in the chat right now. All right, so anyway, this is where I'm at with the maps. This is how you're gonna do it, you're totally screwed. And because I know everything, I know how voters think, and voters are dumb. You can say, well, you're a voter. Am I though? I just know how most people think because I'm a genius. And my genius thinking tells me that voters are going to be too confused when it's like, wait a minute, you mean Jefferson Shreve is on the other side of Indiana? Wait a minute. Who's Jim Baird? Who's Jim Bard? I don't know who Jim Bard is. Or it's like Andre Carson. Who that? Or who's number 8? I don't even know who's number 5. Where's Victoria? Yeah, where's Sparks at? Sparks is like literally on the other side of the state. You think anybody in Randolph County? Yeah, I always said it. You think anybody in Randolph County is be like, yeah, I'm so glad that Victoria Sparks is my representative? Yeah, they'll probably do it all over again. Or anybody in, Wells County? Yeah, do you think anybody in Wells County knows who Victoria Sparks is? I don't think so. It is going to be a giant clusterfuck. And then Braun said they might do it in November. I don't know. I don't know if they're actually going to do it. My gut feeling is, like, I know there are people in there. Listen, everybody that went to that whole Jim Banks thing, Matt Commons, Craig Haggard, Andrew Ireland, who else was there? Whoever else was there? No, Kiff, no. That is a good point. They don't know they don't even know who their senator is, their councilman. They probably barely know who their mayor is, unless they're an asshole. Like, they don't know who their ward is. They don't know any. Yeah, I agree. Running for office has made that clear. Voters are dumb. They're dumb and lazy. We can't vote our way out of this. But this is what been my argument with this whole redistricting thing, though, is that I do not want a romper. I do not want another Shreve. But trying to primary those people are out is easier than trying to fight a Democrat. That would be my argument. You can push back on that all you want, by the way, and I'm fine with that because I understand both sides of the argument. My biggest problem is the map. I do not like the numbering of the map. People are already dumb, and the numbers have to be different. Yeah, they are there to get rich. They're there to go to galas and have their fart box tongue punched. They're there for their constituents to be like, hey, I got a happy birthday from my congressman. Bless their heart. I like them. You know what? They got a great heart. I'll vote for you again. Oh, by the way, using taxpayer money for Frank mail. All right, I want to do one last thing before we go. Because this is kind of breaking news in the last couple of hours, definitely in the last day. So Natalie Goodwin, who is the Marion County chair, she has now joined the Indiana Chamber of Commerce. She will oversee healthcare and tax and public finance efforts. Now, for those who don't know, her husband, Nick Goodwin, is in basically the lobbying field with the same thing with healthcare. Actually, I wonder if I could find it real quick. John, I know I'm just going to run like 2 minutes. Trust me on this. And there it is. Yeah. Because Nick Goodwin, her husband, is Director of Government Affairs for the Indiana Healthcare Association. Now, so not only is she will oversee healthcare and tax and public finance efforts, but her husband is the Director of Government Affairs, which is lobbying for the Indiana Healthcare Association. This is a big reason why she became Marion County Chair, is because of her husband. And obviously, she's very connected. So here's where I'm at with it. This is my tinfoil hat theory. I only need like another 2 minutes. We have the Franklin Township data center right now. Next Monday, the 22nd, next Monday, they're having the final vote of if basically the data center is going to go through or not. Now, Franklin Township Schools yesterday or the day before, they said, oh, you know what? We're working out a deal with Google. Well, basically, they're going to get a bunch of tablets from what it sounds like. And, oh, by the way, pass. Totally pass. Sorry, Goodwin. You get the pass. And I think they're bringing her in to try and wrangle up for the Republicans that might flip to agree for the data center. I'm not, obviously, I have no information on this that will happen, but it is my theory right now. I would not be surprised if next Monday, when they go for the vote again, that the Republicans flip their vote for the data center. Now, I know Michael Paul Hart and Josh Bain, those two are a complete lock. I think some of the Democrats, I would not be surprised if some of them change their tune. I would not be surprised if they do, because basically Hogsett runs the show anyway. So that's where I'm at. I got 1 more minute and then I'm out of here. So get ready to end the show. We have to be aware of what's happening now. And by the way, as far as I know, Natalie Goodwin is very hard to reach. I think producer John would agree with that. So this just gives her I don't know. I'm not going to say it's corruption and I'm not going to say it's dirty, but it definitely is eyebrow raising when you have the chair of the Marion County GOP now has this job. I don't like it. It's something smells off. It does not. It should make everybody in Indianapolis who's a based Republican or even based at all, it should make their stomach cringe. It's definitely eyebrow raising. I don't like it. All right. So with that, I'm not sure if I'll have a Saturday show or not, but I will definitely be back for Tuesday because for a special announcement, make sure that you pay attention to Indie Reporter Twitter next Tuesday at 1:15. Also, I will be giving updates from next Monday's city county meeting. So with that, love you guys. Bye.